Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are here on the couch again, and it's so fun.
So much more comfortable, too.
So much more comfortable. And just like, it's so fun not to be like on a Zoom.
Yeah.
Or like just staring at you like through the computer.
Right.
So we all need more community these days and more in person. And the pandemic is way over.
It's way over. I mean, we picked up so many of those habits that we developed.
Yes.
And some of them have stayed and some of them are good. And others, it's like, what's wrong with getting up, getting yourself dressed with pants on?
Right.
And leaving your house in the morning,
Totally. And you feel better when you're put together, right?
Yes.
Like you just do. I was telling my daughter this yesterday, like she's been studying for a test for days on end, the MCAT, and she hasn't been very put together. She's been in her pajamas a lot. And I'm like, and then she told me the other day that she was feeling kind of sluggish. I'm like, well, maybe if you wake up, you get some movement in your body, you put on some clothes, you might feel better.
Right.
And I think that's true for everyone.
Absolutely.
But before we dive into today's episode, we just want to remind everybody that our Vitality Reboot is coming up again, starting April 6th through the 12th. That is formerly known as our liver detox. It's the same base of the program, but we've just added our own little touches to it.
Right.
And
because it's more than just the food.
Right.
And so much of what people are initially drawn with a detox is they're like, oh, I just need a cleanse. I need to like flush it out. I need to like reset and stop eating the crap. Absolutely. This will do that. If that is your goal, sign up because you'll get great results. But there's so much more to just what we put in our bodies. And so it's our thoughts, it's detoxing from other,
mind, body, spirit.
Mind, body,
right?
spirit. And even just looking at your water and just trying to get more movement or being outside more and getting natural sunlight and kind of getting back to how our bodies evolved and what brings us joy and how we can settle into a good rhythm of what works for you. So,
and how to work together as a community, because the community piece is huge and we are all in need of community. And it just feels so good to be surrounded by like-minded people.
Right. And even for us, if there's something we want to do, like going to a sauna and cold plunge, we both love it. But let me tell you, I need a little prodding to get myself there, right? It's just that extra step. And then you're going to be a little uncomfortable. And first you're going to be really hot and sweaty. And then you're going to be really cold. And do I really want to do this? So doing it with a group will help you get there. We help you. This community helps you get outside your comfort zone in a safe and fun way.
Absolutely.
So join our next one, our Vitality Reboot, Sunday, April 6th, but you can start it a few days before or a few days after. It'll run for 7 days. If you're out of town, make sure you sign up at least a week in advance so we can ship the products to you. And let us know if you have any questions.
And I just want to say that this program actually runs year round if you want to do it totally on your own. But if you want to do it with our amazing supportive community, that's when our next community Vitality Reboot starts.
Yes. So, evening routine.
Evening routine. I'm sure you've heard this buzzword a lot. Morning routine, evening routine. What is it? Can you have a morning routine without an evening routine, or an evening routine without a morning routine? I mean, you have to start somewhere, I guess, right? But they work together. So I think having both is awesome if you can.
If you want an optimal morning routine, you have to have some sort of a evening routine that is in line and in sync with your priorities for the morning, right? So, and I heard this recently, it was a Mel Robbins podcast, and she was talking about morning routines. And we've talked about, I think morning routine was one of the first episodes we recorded way back in the day when we first launched this podcast over 5 years ago. But regardless of whether you like your routine in the morning or not, you have a routine, right? So if you lie in bed and hit snooze 5 times and then you pick up your phone immediately and you're on social media, that is your routine. You have a morning routine. It may not be setting you up for success, but you have a routine. So frame it that way. You already have a routine. How are you going to spend your precious 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long you have in the morning before you need to be somewhere, doing something that fills you up, that energizes you, and that brings you joy, and that sets you up for a productive, happy, day, whatever it is you want to do for the day.
And like Stephanie said, we already have routines. We already have habits. Mm-hmm. So it's just morphing those habits or routines into what aligns with your priorities and your desires and the way you want to feel and the way you want to live your life. So, if right now in the evening, you're making dinner, you're cleaning up dinner, you're sitting on the couch, you're eating dessert and you're watching Netflix, and then you're scrolling on your phone and having trouble falling asleep, that is your evening routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no judgment at all.
No.
But many people say to us that they struggle to sleep at night, and they don't know why they struggle to sleep at night. And so,
or they struggle to wake up in the morning.
Or they struggle to wake up in the morning because they're up late into the night, or they're waking up in the middle of the night. And so the reason we like to talk about setting yourself up with a evening routine that aligns with your priorities is because it's going to help you hopefully sleep better and wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and ready to start your morning routine.
Right.
And your day.
I know you've talked about this quite a bit with other family members in your house, the whole staying up really late and being on your phone and watching TV. And I think our spouses have similar habits in that regard. And Marnie and I are the ones that are going to bed earlier. But I can, like clockwork, almost within a half hour, wake up pretty much the same time every day, have enough energy to get the workout in or movement or whatever it is I want to do. And I attribute that to having a solid evening routine, because it helps set your circadian rhythm is probably one of the biggest things, which is like your sleep-wake cycle and regulating your melatonin, which you need at night to fall asleep. And your cortisol needs to be high in the morning, which gets you moving and energized to start the day without needing a cup of caffeine.
And like Rudy told us, and like we know, when it's dark outside, it's time to wind down.
Right.
That is your clue. That is the biggest clue. And to dim the lights in your home and to not have a lot of action happening. Now, we all live our lives, right? And there are plenty of times where we stay up late. Maybe it's on the weekends, or maybe it's, a special occasion or whatever it is. That's fine.
Right.
We're not saying don't ever do that. I do that. You do that
100%,
plenty of time.
100%.
But on a day-to-day basis, your habit normally should be to set yourself up for success so that you're feeling energized in the morning and strong and ready to conquer your day. And when you're sleeping, you're resting, you're digesting, you're letting your brain, regenerate and your body regenerate and everything to just relax and get into that deep, deep sleep that we all need.
And I think a lot of it is like calming our central nervous system down at the end of the day. Because how many times, and for years and years, I lived this way, woke up in a panic, frantic every morning, rushing around, right? And not doing what I needed to do because I was up too late doing things that I shouldn't. So in order to get that restorative sleep that Marnie talked about, you need to be in a calm mental state. So you need to have something that you do in the evening that helps you become calm. So that could be reading a book. It could be journaling. It could be meditating. It could be doing some calm stretching or yoga, or, something that downregulates your amped up nervous system. Because so many of us are in that very fight or flight type of mode during the day. And we don't want to be in that mode at night because we want our body to digest the food that we're eating.
And sometimes that can be hard. Like I struggle with this in my house because I live with a bunch of night owls and I don't want to be a night owl, and I'm not a night owl by nature. And so, my daughter could be coming home from dance at 10 o'clock at night and then wanting to eat something and then starting her homework. And my husband's just getting started on his second work day. And I'm like, wait, I'm going upstairs to do my meditation and my stretching and my wash up routine and my reading my book until my eyes close. And I'm by myself because everybody else is downstairs in the kitchen partying, not really partying, but there's a lot of action. And I get a lot of flack for that in my house. But if I stay up with them, guess what? I am a grump the next day. because I couldn't fall asleep or I stayed up too late.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel great the next day. And I know that about myself. Like I need my sleep and my wind down.
100%. We're the same thing going on here. And my boys are like, especially football season, there's a game on of some sort every night. And so they're up well past me watching sports on TV. Great. It's also this like, let them do what they want. We are doing what we know feels good for us. We are modeling this behavior. And at some point, if you think about back to when you were a teenager, were you doing any of this? No, I didn't even know what the hell a morning or evening routine was.
No.
So I think as parents and as moms, like we are doing a great job of taking care of ourselves and we're modeling that self-care and what we need. And there are times that my kids would be like, I used to do this group meditation Monday night for years and it just stopped. And they'd be like, oh, Mom, you have to go do your meditation now. And that was my evening routine on a Monday night. And it was great because I just fell asleep right after. So I'm trying to let them, maybe that's a topic for another day, Marnie.
For sure. But as you talk about your kids and modeling, I'm just thinking about my son, Zach. So beginning of 2025, we as a family we set our goals, personal goals, and then we share them as a family and we do them in all these different buckets. And one of his goals was to establish a morning routine for himself. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God.
See,
I was tearful. Yes. I'm still tearful. And I didn't say anything.
No, that's the best.
I didn't say anything. I just listened to what he had to say. I asked him what that was going to look like for him.
Yep.
And I just my heart was warmed inside. I felt so good. I was like, okay. I'm not going to take credit for it because morning routines are out there all over the world. He could have heard it anywhere, but he does see me, or he did when he lived at home, getting up early and having my morning routine every day. So I'm just really proud of him.
See, that's amazing. And that's all you can do as a parent, right?
Yes. And I know we're talking about evening routines, so we're getting way off track. We're so excited.
But I think that the evening routine is important in order to have the effective morning routine.
Yes.
They're so interrelated. So, when we're working with clients and you're talking to them, they're like, well, I wake up, but not until 8. And then, I don't really have time. I'm not a morning person. I don't have the energy to work out in the morning. And then you talk about what they're doing at night. They're literally watching TV or on their phone or maybe working all up until they go to bed.
Right.
And it's really hard to do both. It's really hard to have a good, effective morning routine without prioritizing your evening.
And I'll say, as we talk about evening routines, it's good to try and set up what you want that evening routine to look like. And it can be different for different people, right? So you need to think about inside what you're looking for in an evening routine. It could be, like Stephanie mentioned, meditation, stretching, reading a book, having a cup of tea. There's a warm bath, a sauna, there's so many different things, but we want them to be ideally calming exercises. Could be journaling. And I think that the idea is winding down.
Right. And it could be also getting yourself prepped for the morning. So if you're leaving and you have to make a lunch the next day, or you're going to be out the door early, prep your breakfast, prep your lunch, make sure that is ready to go, because that will make your morning calmer.
Even your outfit.
I always pick outfits out. My workout outfit, especially.
So I often don't do that, but I remember, I can't even remember which daughter it was in elementary school, would stress in the morning about what she was going to wear, which was crazy. Not crazy, but just unusual, maybe.
Yeah.
And so we would put her outfit out the night before, and that just eliminated all that stress.
Okay, I did that with all my kids, because otherwise it was a battle, or what they were going to wear in the morning. And it just, you don't want that added stress.
Right. So
I still do it when I'm working out. If I'm going to have to leave the house to work out, especially, I have everything, my whole workout outfit picked out. And if I'm leaving early for work, like last night, I picked out this outfit that I was going to wear before I was coming here, because I knew, I had to be here on time.
Right. So the idea would be to set yourself up for success for the next day, but also put some closure on the current day.
Yeah.
So maybe that's thinking about, what was happened in your day, what was the good stuff in your day, maybe what didn't go so well in your day. Could even write some of it down or just try and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, one of the things that has changed my evenings dramatically is literally putting my phone on do not disturb at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Even if I'm still awake for another hour, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm turning off the phone. I will literally put my phone in the cabinet, close the cabinet door, and I will not look at it until morning. And some of my friends or people will say, well, what if your kids need you? Well, the iPhone has this handy little feature on it where you can set them as emergency ring throughs. So my phone can be on complete do not disturb, but if my kids need me for some reason, my phone will ring and I will know it is one of my kids and I will answer it. But nothing else. I'm not answering anything else. I'm not talking to anyone else. And that, because sometimes stressful messages come in the evening, right? Like that's the worst. And then you're thinking about it and ruminating on it. And maybe my cortisol level tends to just shoot right up. And so that has helped a lot.
And speaking of cortisol, we each have an evening cortisol test that we're going to take, and we'll talk about it on this show, because that is an indicator that, that's a hormone that you do not want high at night. You want that high in the morning and low at night. So we'll be taking that at home lab testing and report back for another episode. But anyway, I thought about that. So some, like Marnie talked about consistency. We've talked about even just before with sleep, like having your room dark. I wear an eye mask now many, many nights. Or if I wake up in the middle of the night and it's a little bit coming, or like early morning, late in the night, I will put that on if I see any light coming through. So setting up your room for success, having it be cool. For me, that makes a huge difference. Like having your temperature, you want your body temperature low at night. So making sure your room is cold or cool, even in the colder months here. Just like avoiding food. I mean, we talked about this many times, but not eating for having at least a 2-hour gap between when you last eat and when you go to bed. And I know with the teenagers, I mean, that's just I'm not as focused on them, I guess. I think
it's more if you're home for the evening, you had a 6 o'clock dinner, maybe be done eating.
Right.
Have a cup of tea if you want after dinner. And then after that, start your wind down.
Yeah. Because it's going to impact your sleep. Like your body, if it's trying to digest a big, heavy meal and alcohol, you're not going to get as restorative sleep. It's just, we've tested this so much with our Oura rings that.
Yeah. So Stephanie, what does your evening routine typically look like?
So I try to not be on a computer or device an hour or two before bed. If I do have to, I'm absolutely wearing my Viva Rays and I'm putting on the evening lenses. You've probably seen us wearing them before. The Viva Rays 3-in-1. So those are during the day, evening, and then an hour before bed, they're these red lenses that you put on.
Which you really can't see your computer with the red lenses.
And then you're like, well, just forget it. I'm putting this away. So I'm done with work or being on screens. I've cleaned up. I know what I'm doing in the morning, kind of organized, looked at my calendar and that sort of thing. And then I have tea. I drink a lot of tea. So I do an herbal tea, or I really love the Organifi chocolate gold, which I can't wait to have.
Me too.
It's so delicious. And it's like a dessert, it almost, we're talking, it's 40, 50 calories maybe, but
there's no
sweet
bad sugar in it either.
It's like monk fruit sweetener or something, I think. So that's really yummy. And then I love having a really good book. So, sometimes I'll do a stretch or something like that, but for the most part, and I do just my evening face routine. So I also just think it's really important from an aging standpoint. We want to take care of our skin because it's our largest organ. So wash my face and put my products on there. So that's big. And then I have a book. Normally I have a really good book at my bed that I am super excited to go up and read. And I just finished last night, The Paper Palace. So I need a new book. It was very good. I really liked it. Yes. So I have a book, and then I put on my mouth tape, and my kids know if they come in the room after, my younger son has late hockey a lot, and sometimes he gets dropped off after I'm in bed, and I'm just, and we say goodnight that way. And yeah, I go to bed.
Sounds like a great routine.
Yeah. I like it. It's working.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Marnie?
So my routine is similar. I will often drink a cup of tea right after dinner, and then I stop drinking just because I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night to pee. So right now I never wake up in the middle of the night, which I love. But then, depending on what's going on in my house, my ideal evening routine would be after dinner and after my cup of tea, and we've all kind of, had dinner together and discussed our days and kind of, I clean up the kitchen. Depending on the time of year, Jordan and I will take a walk outside. Right now, I would say in January, it's been really cold.
Yeah.
We're not doing that as much. So I'm going straight upstairs. I have created a meditation room, which used to be our playroom. It's now my meditation room. And I will do like a 10-minute or 15-minute Peloton stretch. And then I will do a 10-minute meditation. And what I'll do is I'll do legs up the wall, which is my favorite way to meditate. I never meditate upright. And I will put my Therasage red light mat on my face, and I will just sit there and breathe and do my meditation. And usually after those two things, I am like practically ready for sleep, even if it's early.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into my bathroom and I'll do my skincare routine. And at that point, that's when I put my phone in my cabinet. And I have kind of a long routine. I feel like by the time I'm flossing and washing my face and, doing all of that. And then I will read. And oftentimes I'm not reading very much because I'm so relaxed and tired that I just fall asleep. And I keep my room cold and dark. I only turn on my lamp with like a little bit of light when I'm reading. And so I think that helps too. I'm not turning back on bright lights. Sometimes Jordan will come into the bedroom and turn on the closet light. And
I
it's
hate
bright.
that.
I'm like, wait, what are you doing? You're disturbing my peace here. Like,
yes.
But yeah, so I like to keep it really dim, read a good book, and fall asleep. And I also will use my mouth tape. I don't use an eye mask at home. I only use it when I travel because it's really dark in our bedroom. But I think that works really well. And then I have all these modifications to the routine, right? Like,
of course.
Depending on what's going on in life. In the summer, I don't do all of that because it stays light out so much longer.
Yeah.
A lot of times we could be sitting on our deck until 9:00 at night, and I'm not going to stay up for that much longer to do the evening routine. So I'll modify it. It'll be a lot shorter. So I feel like wintertime, my evening routine is quite a bit longer. And then you may ask, when do you watch Netflix?
Yeah.
Like, when do you have time to watch Netflix? So I'll just say one more thing. I have started watching Netflix while I run on the treadmill. So if I'm doing an indoor walk or workout, that has become my Netflix time.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's funny. I barely watch Netflix, and I mean barely ever, because I'm not a TV person. This is actually the longest I've sat on the couch, Marnie. I don't even know, in like weeks, months.
Oh, we never sat on the
couch. Well, no, I'm just
which is kind of funny.
But thanks to the 29 training, where I had to do a lot of incline work, I have now incorporated 1 or 2 days a week. I am doing incline walks or a run. And so I am binge watching a bunch of shows. So that like gets me excited at night. Actually, part of my evening routine is making sure my iPad's charged, because I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to need it. And having that bag packed with my iPad to make sure that I get to watch my show and that it's downloaded or whatever I need. So,
and you're doing something good for you.
It's habit
running and walking, but then you're also combining it with something pleasurable.
Yeah.
So when I run outside, I listen to music or I try and run with my thoughts. So I feel like I have that combination. It's not like I need the TV, and then Jordan and I will also like watch a show on the weekend, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
In the summer, we never watch TV, but otherwise during the week, my TV for me is never on. Like I just, one of our guests said this like years ago, like it's a sleep stealer, or I can't remember what they said, but Netflix competes with sleep.
Yeah.
And that has stuck out.
Guy.
Yes. Yeah. In my mind, because it's true. And I know I need my sleep. I can show up as my best self when I sleep.
100%. I mean, if I'm crabby, if I'm sleep deprived and hungry, and there aren't like good food options around, you don't even want to be near me. Ask my family. I'm like, hangry and tired. We got to think of a new one for being tired and exhausted because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. So how can you establish an evening routine that works for you?
Well, one idea is to come on our show and do a health transformation audit, because we could walk you through this and you will walk away with at least one or two, maybe more on this topic, tangible action steps that you can immediately implement that very night to help with your evening routine.
And we can ask you questions that help you dive into like your desires. Because sometimes it's hard to ask yourself the right questions, even though we think we all know. Sometimes just having someone else kind of ask those probing questions gets you thinking in a different way.
And that's, I think, part of the benefit of being without distractions and not watching the Netflix late into the night and consuming on your phone. Everything that you are going to bed with is external. It is someone else's thoughts, someone else's ideas, someone else's worries, whatever it is, the news. There's just too much going on. You're absorbing all of that, and you have to process that as well as the food.
Right.
And that is preventing people from getting good night's sleep, I believe.
I agree with you 100%. And you can try things. Like if you try an evening routine and you didn't like it or it didn't work well for you, you're not stuck. Like you can change it however you want. So,
and seasonally, like Marnie said, like absolutely in the summer, we are up and outside and going on walks and doing all these things, right?
And don't be afraid to set boundaries, like with your spouse or your children. And it's really hard, right? Like, and obviously you can't always do that, right? There are things that come up where it's not going to work for you. But on a day-to-day basis, it's okay for you to have some time. And like last night, like I mentioned, I think earlier on this episode, my daughter is taking a huge exam today. So last night I said, why don't you do my evening routine with me? Because she really wanted to get to bed early. Yeah. She had to be up very early this morning. And so we did the stretch together. We did the meditation together. Then we just sat in the meditation room and like chatted. I lit a candle. I turned off the lights and we just had like quiet conversation. We were petting the dog. It was like so heartwarming. And then I said, let's both go wash up and you come into my bed and we'll read our books for like a half an hour. So we did that. And I actually fell asleep. And she's waking me up and she's like, Mom, you fell asleep. Did you even read anything? And then we both went to her room and we went to sleep. And it was like such a lovely way to share the routine with my daughter.
Okay. I love that. And for many reasons. One, because parents of any age kid can do that. Mm-hmm. There was a long time ago, I used to do some yoga poses with my son before bed for similar reasons. So if you're a parent out there and you're like, I don't have time because I have small kids and they have a lot going on, I need to get them ready for bed. What if you combine your evening routine with theirs and you do a couple of these things together? Maybe it's not for 15, 20 minutes. Maybe it's for 5. That's okay. So that would be my one thought for you.
And you could light a candle even. Just dimming the lights or turning off the lights and lighting a candle makes a difference in the way the room feels.
Right. And then the second thing about that routine that I really love is when you talked about boundaries. And so sometimes it's like, oh, but my spouse or my partner, they want to, hang out with me and that's our time together. And so we watch TV. So what if you can still spend time with your spouse or your partner, but you just mix up the activity? Because let me tell you, how much are you talking anyway when you're watching TV?
Right.
You're focused on someone else who doesn't even exist, and I get it. I like TV. It's great. It's an unwind. But what if you did something like Marnie's routine or make your own with that person and interact and engage and calm down?
What do you think of cards? Do you think playing cards is could be part of an evening routine, or do you think that's too much mental stimulation?
Well, it depends on what kind of cards, I would say. But, once a week, or maybe not once a week, I've been trying to play Mahjong, and that is more challenging.
Well, that's mental stimulation.
That's mental stimulation. So, but I will do that from 7 to 9. Like the other night, I was playing Mahjong until about 9:20, and then I went home and went to bed. I didn't even probably read that night. But I was with girlfriends and you're talking and you're thinking. So I don't know, you have to do what works for you. But I think cards or playing a fun game with your kids is a great way. Like you're not on a device and you're interacting and engaging.
Yep. And you're not getting that screen blaring at you.
Right. Maybe just dim the lights wherever you are. But otherwise, no, I think that's a great idea.
Anyway,
so much to think about here.
So many benefits to an evening routine. Yeah. We would love to hear from you guys. What are your routines like? What do you like about them? What don't you like about them? You know,
what do you want to change? And I love hearing your ideas. Like even just, you know, I do the face mask, but not always at night. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that at night. You know, so just hearing this conversation today hopefully sparked an idea for you of something that you want to do, but maybe something that you used to do that you just stopped doing and you got out of habit.
Right. And know that it can change different times of the year, different things going on in your life. There are no rules around this. It's what works for you and what hopefully is going to make you feel amazing.
Yeah. Okay, guys, until next time.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.